Renzo Piano is the most important, prominent, popular architect probably now in the world. We are also happy that he happens to be Italian, even if I would hesitate to define him tout court an Italian architect. That would be limiting the space of what he does. This morning he had the glorious inauguration of the new Whitney right across the street from his studio here in New York with the presence of Michelle Obama. And it's only one more piece in the puzzle that Renzo Piano is creating to reshape in some way New York City, more than any other architect alive today. What happened this morning?
This morning was the usual difficult moment. You know, when you finish a job as an architect, it's always touchy. It's very nice, but it's also sad in some way because you feel like a bit like a father or a mother, and the baby goes away. I mean, I said what is essential to say, that this building is ready for people. It's a new place for people, and actually I don't call the lobby the lobby. I call the piazza. It's like a piazza. And
it's a concept that is lacking in American cities.
Certainly, it's a very strong European idea. It's a part of the history of cities. The piazzas or the places are where everything starts. You know, this is where people mix experience. This is where diversity becomes a value, opportunity. This is where fear even disappears sometimes because you stay together, because you share value, because it's about tolerance, it's about coexistences. But to do that, of course, when you make a building, you have to be careful not to put the building right there on ground, because if you put on ground, then there's no place left. So this building is levitating above the ground. And this is what you do not for aesthetic reason. You do this because, socially speaking, you need to give to the city the space. So the building becomes accessible, not intimidating. You know, it's welcoming everybody. It's like a piazza.
The idea of the terraces that surround the different floors of the building, does it have to do with the same concept of a place where people can?
The building actually is stretching to east toward the city of New York. By having terraces that come down, because I wanted the building to flirt with the city of New York, you know. So the terraces are really a place to enjoy life, and the stairs there are just to take your time, meandering down and up in the building. So this is what happened on the east side, where the sun comes up, and this is where the city is. On the other side, the west side, that is where the sun goes down, is the opposite. It's, the building is talking to the, well, first to the traffic of the highway, and then you have the river, then you have the far west, then you have the New Jersey, then you have all the rest of the world. Far away you have LA, Los Angeles, and if you look carefully, you can even see the Far East, you know. That's the idea, that on one side the building talks to the city, on the other side talks to the rest of the world.
One of the most innovative things I understand in your museum is the way in which the light comes in which you sort of direct the light.
Architecture is very much about light everywhere and all the time, but especially when you make a museum, because a museum is about viewing a piece of art, it's about gallery. You know, light is probably the most immaterial, but also the most important material for architecture.
This used to be, at least, the periphery, the outskirts of New York. This is a theme that is very dear to you, the idea of the outskirts of the city, how to make them better, how to make them livable. And you say that that's the real frontier of architecture.
It's a constant worry about what is the relationship between the center and the peripheries of cities. You know, those places where energy is, by the way, energy and desires are there. And they must become urban places. But in the same way, you have to be careful not to transform the center of the cities in a shopping center. Well, the museum is a very important element. The Whitney is the history of American art. I'm slightly worried that the place doesn't become a bit too much like a place fashionable, but I think this will be fine.
Just to mention a few buildings, the New York Times, the renewal of the Morgan Library, of course the Whitney, and a very important project you're working on right now at Columbia University. What is your relationship to this city?
You know, as an architect, you cannot live in a city like a tourist. You have to know the city. So you have to understand, you have to listen to the sound, you have to listen to the spirit of the city. So I love working here. It's a great city. And of course, working on the Whitney was great, but also we are working on the Columbia University extension on Broadway and 125th. And that's a very big commitment because it's about inventing the campus, the urban campus in the 21st century. You know, what we are building right now is probably the most important research center on brain in the world. And we are also building a School of Art. It's almost done now. And we are also building a conference center and many other things. So all this is really the idea of inventing a urban campus that is about mixing the academic life with the life, just the city life. And of course, the idea that learning, searching, exploring, science, art is just one thing, you know. And this is the essence of humanistic approach.